What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the Combat Corporation, your source for combat sports. I'm your host, Al, the Postmaster Morrow, and today I have a gear review on the Windy traditional Muay Thai training gloves. Alright folks, so I'm really excited to bring you this video because I've yet to review a pair of Muay Thai gloves before, or a Muay Thai brand. It does not get much more original than Windy though. Windy was released in 1951 and for the longest time was the #1 brand in Thailand. 1960, Thai Smai comes out and they were a decent competitor, but Windy was still the top dog in Thailand and beat everybody else. It wasn't until 20 years after Windy's release where a small company based out of Bangkok, Thailand called Fairtex was released. See what I did there? And they became the #1 brand, not just in Thailand, but in the entire world. In 1975 through 78, they started branching out to the United States, and they also started to branch out to Europe. And Fairtex was the #1 brand. 1978, Sandy came out, and they also started becoming a good brand in the mix. And it wasn't until 1992, Windy finally fell into obscurity when Twin Special came out and basically took their design and made a smaller glove, which real fast, if you look at a glove here, they're the same exact thumb curvature, same exact knuckle curvature. Everything about the glove is basically identical, but Twins is a little bit smaller, and they came out with cooler designs than Windy. Now then, it wasn't until 2005 where another brand came out where Venom was started in Thailand, but that was more of an MMA brand. And then you had 2009 Top King, so 10 years ago was released, and they are considered a massive brand now. I know a lot of Muay Thai people that use Top King, and they are also a very good brand. And then 2010, a promotion / company was released with Yokow. And they are awesome. They sponsor people like Sanchai and Liam Badco Harrison and a couple of other people in the world that you might know of. Now, getting into the glove of the traditional Thai glove with Windy, it's a basic looking glove, but it's an awesome basic looking glove. Black, white with a little bit of gold. You got a complete black outer shell made out of a top grain genuine leather. Or I just say top grain leather, not genuine leather. And then you have a Thai man here, all in gold, with the Windy logo, which is like this gridded globe look. And then it's just Windy across in gold lettering. And the black, once again, is on the thumb, the punch surface, everything here, except for the thumb attachment, which is a white piece of leather, which is interesting. No, it's not. It's black. I'm sorry. I'm talking about the little white pieces going into here. It's a black piece of leather that attaches the thumb. The front is white with a little bit of white padding, black with the gold logo once again on the front here, which says Windy, which is without the Thai man. You got a white grip bar, a white piece of strip here, and then you have Windy Pro Fight Gear all throughout the bottom here, the same logo in black and white. And I'm pretty sure it says TG30, number 18 ounces, and that's the model of the glove and the size of the glove. Now, I don't know why Windy is considered an obscure brand nowadays, because Windy is just awesome. They make very, very good equipment. I love the Thai gloves, and I love the Thai pads that my coach used, and I also love bags that I've used at a bunch of other gyms. Windy makes solid equipment. You have the complete outer shell of a top grain leather, once again, and it kind of smells like a Reyes glove would. It's a dress shoe smell, and it definitely shows age just like a Reyes would. It shows a couple wrinkles here and there, but that's how leather's supposed to age over time, of course. If you take good care of the glove, it's not going to look much older. The leather is not only accompanied by better materials with the stitching and a couple other things, but it's also accompanied by triple density, high layered foams, triple layered high density foams rather, throughout the glove. And as you can see, it's a very soft material with that leather, so it's a softer leather too. It was tanned to be a little bit softer, but the material as well is soft on the inside of the glove. So it's a very soft, protective feel on your knuckles, and for a Muay Thai glove, that's awesome. Most of the time they have that triple layered foam technique, but it's very stiff, it's very hard. And you know, Windy's somewhat no exception. After you break the glove in, it's not very stiff towards the bottom at all. It's very, very soft and very, very supple. So that's awesome. Now, It's a bigger glove for a Thai glove, I won't lie. And people are going to be like, well, it's because it's an 18 ounce. But the 16 ounce, folks, even for my hands, felt almost the same. It was just the padding was a little bit less. So if you want more of a padded glove, maybe get the 18 ounce version. One thing I will say is the interior is big enough to have, gauze and tape on, okay? Now, I'll talk about that in a second here. But going into most Thai gloves, the wrist support may not be as good as some people would think, but for a Thai glove, I think the wrist support's awesome. Now, you don't have padding here like you do all throughout the glove. That triple layers goes throughout the thumb, and it goes throughout the back of the glove, and it even goes to the bottom of the wrist here. You got that triple layered padding all throughout this here and this right here where the wrist cuff is. But throughout here, there is none. The reason why is because in Thai boxing, when you open the glove, you grip and then you have to curve your wrist down kind of like that, like waving a windshield wiper kind of down like this. So you got to clinch and then pull. So that has to be a way so you can get a good clinch going. So you would think that would defeat it, but you get all the support down here, and I'll show you with the all leather wrist strap here. It's all padded with a black piece of leather from the center around right down here. And so that leather is going to pad it, and the leather is also going to stick to your arm when you get sweaty as well. Now, talking about that padding, when I put my hand inside, I have a lot of room. As you can kind of see, I can kind of move it side to side, not so much up and down, but side to side. So I can put a lot of room on this side and that side of my knuckle, and that's really going to make a good, nice protective pad on the inside of the glove. So knuckle protection is not a big deal at all. And also, when I get kicked, because of that padding here and on the back of the glove a little bit more, it's actually good because that padding's there. It's going to protect me when I'm sparring. It's going to protect me when I'm working pad work and maybe my coach is kicking me back or something. It's a very padded wrist, and when I hit, it doesn't jar my knuckle down because it's still suspending it up top with that padding up here. So when I hit, it keeps it nice and protected, and it also kind of puts my hand into a natural punch position when I hit because my knuckles are always lined up when I use these gloves. It's a really, really comfortable feel. Now, a really important thing, which is a make or break for a lot of Thai people, is that Muay Thai people is it must open, and these gloves open pretty well. I can get a solid grip around my neck. I can get a solid grip around my arms. I can get on my shoulders. Anywhere that it might be, Windy has a solid grip when it opens up here. The padding is very good even when it's open, so even if you get hit here, the padding's still nice and thick, which is crazy because I would think with a thicker glove, it wouldn't be able to open that well, but it opens very well. Now, the only downside I can really talk about is that the interior of the glove, although comfortable, is just baggy nylon, and sometimes being baggy gets in the way of the grip bar, gets in the way of the fingers lying in the glove. And when I make contact, sometimes my fingers do pinch at the bottom because there's a lot of padding on the top of the fingers, but there's not a whole lot of padding on the bottom of the fingers. Now, when we talk about stitching throughout the glove, it is double stitching all throughout this piece here, throughout the grip bar, and throughout the thumbs as well. But you can see it's one solid piece because single stitching here, which keeps the outer shell here, and single stitching on the wrist here. So they literally just opened this part up here and put the padding in and then sewed it right up. So it's a very, very durable and sturdy glove. And they didn't have to do a whole lot with the stitch work when it came to the glove itself. Everything is very good, and none of the stitching except for a little bit on the inside here, if you can see this little piece of string on the inside, really came off of the glove so far. So the glove is very, very well made, and I can't wait to show you the bag work and sparring view of these gloves, and I'll see you in a couple minutes with my final verdict. Overall, they are a great pair of gloves so far. First thing you see is that big Windy logo, and that's exactly what I would see every time a punch was flying at me, is that big Windy logo. The other cool part about these gloves is that they just look so official, especially if you see someone, using these. They're black and white with a little bit of gold on it, which just gives it that really awesome professional look. So when you're sparring with someone that has these, you might be wondering if they know a thing or two that you don't. So I think these gloves look awesome and professional. So these gloves have a really light feel to them when I hit the bag. Not overly heavy, and I can really get my knees off as well here, as I just showed. The clinch is awesome, but they're not a heavy glove at all. I can really get my hands flying and fast. And one thing I will say about these is, although it might pinch my finger a couple times every now and again, It's a very, very good punter's feel, and once again, I can get a really, really good grip with these gloves. My fingers are sinking right into the bag, which is awesome. My clinch work and my kicks may be bad, but I tell you what, they still feel really comfortable. I love these gloves for the bag. Alright, so as you might have noticed, I didn't include actual sparring footage, and the reason why is because it's just really hard to find people that want to be on camera with sparring, because I try and get maybe a little bit more intense sparring, but at the same time I don't like recording the intense sparring. So I'm just going to tell you what the sparring is like in the final verdict part. That way I can actually start cranking out the videos a little bit easier for everybody. But I'm just going to be showing the sparring view and the bag work of these gloves because it works just the same, okay? My final verdict of these gloves is they're awesome. For a Thai glove, you have a lot of knuckle support. The wrist support, I can't complain of. The thumb support's awesome. The curvature of the thumb is honestly my favorite feature of the glove because it fits, well, just like a glove, I guess, if you want to word it that way. But it fits so perfect, and it's so smooth and nice on my hand, and I love that feeling. Especially when I'm sparring, it doesn't feel like I'm making hard contact with anybody, even if you're hitting pretty hard. And what everyone always says, like they would say with a Grant or a Reyes, is that it smells like a brand new shoe. It smells like it's brand new. I've had these since the end of May, beginning of June now. And it's almost the middle of September. When you talk about these gloves, they are incredibly comfortable on the bag as well. The only thing I will say is when you make contact sometimes, because they open so wide sometimes, it does jam my fingers inward a couple times. If you're going from, you know, clinching and then you have to ball your fist to go here, it kind of jams my fingers inward. And it also pinches my fingers with that loose baggy stuff. And the leather towards the bottom does kind of rough up the fingers every now and again. But if you wrap your hands, and maybe if you put something like tape on the bottom of your fingers, it won't bother you. I never experimented with that. But if that's a make or break for you, then maybe these gloves aren't for you. The other thing I'll say is they eat your arm quite a lot, you know. And does that limit my mobility? Not really. But I mean, I have shorter arms, but it kind of goes down to my elbow. Maybe if you have longer arms, it won't bother you as much. But I mean, it's a solid foot-long glove. It's a pretty big glove. And the other good part about it, if you want to equate the good part about it being big, is that it's good for defense. If I put my hand up and I really don't want to get hit all that much, it'll protect me. Now, obviously, if I tape a focus mitt to the side of my head, I get kicked, I'm still going to go down. But if you want to really focus on defense, you can do that. One other thing I'll talk about with these is you can kind of slide them off because the hand compartment is a little big on the inside. But if you wrap your hands and, you know, you ball your fist tight, like I'll ball my fist tight really here, and I'll try and yank it off, and nothing's happening. You know, obviously if you do that, but it is a little loose on the wrist, so you are going to want to tighten it pretty good. And then it'll still, now my hand can get out, because I'd have to pull really tight. But other than that, it's a good glove. If you wrap your hands up nice, you won't be able to slip your hand out at all. One thing I will say about these gloves is I don't think they're just good for Muay Thai. I think they're good for traditional boxing because of how big they are. You know, the 18-ounce glove has a lot of padding to it. In the 16-ounce glove, a friend of mine just bought the 16-ounce pair, and there wasn't really a whole lot of difference. It was a slightly tighter fit on the sides of my hand, and the knuckles definitely weren't as thick. But it was still the same as that glove. It just felt a little bit lighter, and it was barely smaller. And when I mean barely, I mean just barely smaller. So if you want a 16-ounce pair and your hands maybe aren't as big as mine, my hands are a decent size and width of the palm anyway. I'm also 225 pounds and about 6 foot even right now. You know, these gloves are a perfect size for me, especially when I wrap my hands. And I wrap my hands at all times when I use equipment. So if you want a pair of gloves that's really good knuckle support for boxing, Muay Thai, or anything, or MMA big glove sparring, as people will call it, these gloves are for you. I really do believe so. They clinch really well, they grab really well. And sparring, clinch work, you know, we do clinch work at my gym for maybe about 45 minutes a week. Or a session. When we're done with doing everything, we'll just do an extra 45 minutes of clinch work. That's what my coach will have us do, and it helps a lot. And these gloves I actually prefer over a lot of smaller gloves for clinch work. Really, the only clinch work glove that I think I like better is a Yokow. I like Yokow's gloves, but these gloves open very well and they're nice and padded. So if you want to have a good, solid training glove for bag work, pads, sparring, or anything it might be, clinch work, definitely go for the Windy traditional Muay Thai training glove. There's a lot in these gloves that that have a lot to offer for you, and I think Windy should kind of have a bit more of a public type of image again, because I don't know why people aren't using more Windies. They are by far probably my favorite Muay Thai brand, either them or Yokkao. I love Windy, everything that they've done so far. I've used gloves in the past. I also used shin guards in the past. Someone stole my shin guards at a seminar though, but the Windy shin guards were my favorite for a long time. So overall, Windy traditional Muay Thai training glove, if I had to give them a rating, I'd definitely give it a rating of 8 out of 10. These gloves are awesome. The 2 points missing, obviously, the baggy inner lining and the fingers not lying where I wish they would lie. But that's completely okay. That's something that you can get over really fast. So, folks, I can't wait for the next episode. I'm going to find out what I'm going to review next. And I'm Al Morrow with Combat Corporation. I'll see you next time.